He was fired for exposing company corruption and blacklisted from his industry. Steve Harvey's confrontation with his former boss was legendary and proved that doing the right thing always wins in the end. It was September 2022, and 45-year-old Marcus Thompson sat in his Atlanta apartment, staring at another job rejection email. It had been 18 months since he was fired from Pinnacle Financial Services, and despite having 15 years of experience as a senior auditor, he couldn't get hired anywhere in his field. Marcus wasn't just unemployed, he had been systematically blacklisted from his entire industry for one reason: he had tried to do the right thing. Marcus Thompson had always been the kind of employee companies claimed they wanted. He was honest, thorough, dedicated, and had an impeccable reputation for integrity. For 13 years at Pinnacle Financial Services, he had been a model employee, consistently receiving outstanding performance reviews and earning the respect of colleagues and clients alike. Pinnacle Financial was a mid-sized investment firm that managed retirement accounts and investment portfolios for middle-class families and small businesses. Marcus worked as a senior auditor, responsible for reviewing investment transactions and ensuring compliance with federal regulations. The company's motto, prominently displayed in their lobby, read, "Your trust, our promise." Marcus had believed in that motto and had taken pride in protecting clients' financial interests. Everything changed in January 2021, when Marcus was assigned to audit a series of high-yield investment accounts managed by the company's star performer, Brad Morrison. Brad was Pinnacle's golden boy, young, charismatic, and credited with bringing in millions in new business. But when Marcus began reviewing Brad's transactions, he discovered something that made his blood run cold. Brad had been systematically overcharging clients on fees, inflating transaction costs, and steering retirement accounts into high-risk investments that generated massive commissions for the company, but devastating losses for clients. Most disturbing of all, many of the victims were elderly clients who trusted Pinnacle with their life savings and retirement security. "This can't be right," Marcus had muttered to himself as he reviewed account after account showing the same pattern of abuse. Marcus spent 2 weeks triple-checking his findings, hoping he had made an error. But the evidence was undeniable. Brad Morrison, with the apparent knowledge and approval of upper management, had been systematically defrauding clients for over 2 years. The scheme had generated over $3.2 million in illegal profits for Pinnacle, while costing clients an estimated $12 million in losses and excessive fees. Marcus faced an impossible choice: stay silent and become complicit in ongoing fraud, or report the corruption and risk his career. His wife, Linda, encouraged him to speak up. "Marcus, you've spent your whole career protecting people's money. You can't stop now just because it's inconvenient." "Linda, if I report this, they'll fire me. And in this industry, if Pinnacle blacklists me, I'll never work anywhere else." "But if you don't report it, how will you live with yourself knowing you let innocent people lose their retirement savings?" Marcus knew Linda was right. On February 15, 2021, he filed a formal complaint with Pinnacle's compliance department, documenting Brad Morrison's fraudulent activities in a detailed 47-page report. He also sent copies to the Securities and Exchange Commission and the State Attorney General's office, as required by federal whistleblower protection laws. Marcus expected an investigation. He expected Brad Morrison to be fired. He expected Pinnacle to thank him for protecting the company from potential legal liability. Instead, 3 days after filing his report, Marcus was called into a meeting with CEO Richard Blackstone and HR Director Jennifer Walsh. "Marcus," Blackstone said coldly, "we've reviewed your allegations against Brad Morrison, and we find them to be completely without merit." "Mr. Blackstone, I have documented evidence of systematic fraud. The transaction records clearly show—" "What they show," Blackstone interrupted, "is a disgruntled employee trying to undermine a successful colleague out of jealousy and spite." Marcus was stunned. "Sir, this isn't about Brad personally. This is about protecting our clients from illegal practices." Jennifer Walsh spoke up. "Marcus, your recent performance has been declining, and several colleagues have complained about your negative attitude and unwillingness to be a team player." "That's not true. My last performance review was outstanding." "Performance reviews can change," Blackstone said ominously. "Marcus, we're placing you on administrative leave, pending a full review of your conduct." Marcus left that meeting knowing his career at Pinnacle was over, but he held on to hope that the SEC investigation would vindicate him and protect other clients from Brad's fraud. 2 weeks later, Marcus was fired for gross misconduct and insubordination. But Pinnacle's revenge didn't stop there. Richard Blackstone began a systematic campaign to destroy Marcus's reputation throughout the financial services industry. He contacted other firms where Marcus applied for jobs, spreading false rumors about his unreliability, dishonesty, and mental instability. When Marcus interviewed at competing firms, hiring managers would suddenly become distant and uninterested after making a few phone calls to check references. "I'm sorry, Marcus, but we've decided to go with another candidate," became the standard response he heard after every interview. Marcus soon realized what was happening when a former colleague, Sarah Mitchell, called him with devastating news. "Marcus, I thought you should know that Richard Blackstone has been calling around the industry, telling people you had a nervous breakdown and made false accusations against Brad Morrison because you were jealous of his success. He's lying to destroy my reputation. It gets worse. He's telling people you tried to embezzle money, and that's why you were really fired. He's making sure no one in the industry will hire you." Meanwhile, the SEC investigation into Marcus's fraud allegations was moving slowly. Government agencies are notoriously understaffed and overworked, and financial fraud cases can take years to resolve. While Marcus waited for justice, his life fell apart. He burned through his savings, fell behind on his mortgage, and watched his marriage strain under the financial and emotional pressure. "I should have kept my mouth shut," Marcus told Linda during one of their darkest moments. "I should have just ignored the fraud and kept my job." "Marcus, you did the right thing. Those elderly clients deserve to have someone protect them. But what good did it do? Brad is still stealing from people. Pinnacle is still in business, and I can't even get hired to flip burgers because Richard Blackstone has poisoned my reputation everywhere." The breaking point came when Marcus and Linda were forced to sell their house and move into a small apartment. Marcus had gone from being a successful senior auditor to working part-time at a grocery store, the only employer who would hire him. That's when Linda suggested writing to Steve Harvey. "Marcus, Steve Harvey helps people who have been treated unfairly. Maybe he can help you tell your story and clear your name." Marcus was reluctant to go public with his situation, but after 18 months of unemployment and character assassination, he had nothing left to lose. "Dear Mr. Harvey," Marcus wrote, "I was fired for trying to protect elderly clients from investment fraud. My former employer has spent 2 years destroying my reputation to cover up their own corruption. I know you help people who have been wronged, and I'm hoping you can help me get my life back." Marcus included copies of his original fraud report, his termination paperwork, and documentation of the blacklisting campaign against him. 8 weeks later, Marcus received a phone call that would change everything. "Marcus, this is Janet Miller from the Steve Harvey Show. We've investigated your situation, and Mr. Harvey wants to help you get the justice you deserve." What kind of help could Steve Harvey possibly give me? "My career is over. Marcus, you might be surprised by what we've discovered about Richard Blackstone and Pinnacle Financial." 2 weeks later, Marcus sat in the green room of the Steve Harvey Show, nervous about going public with his story, but hopeful that someone finally believed him. "Marcus," Steve said when he met him before the show, "what you did took incredible courage. You sacrificed your career to protect innocent people from being robbed." "Mr. Harvey, it didn't matter. The fraud is still happening, and my life is ruined." "Marcus, sometimes doing the right thing takes longer to pay off than we expect, but justice is coming." During the first part of the show, Marcus told his story with honesty and dignity. He explained how he had discovered the fraud, reported it through proper channels, and been systematically destroyed for trying to protect clients. "Marcus," Steve said, "what would you say to Richard Blackstone if he was here today?" "I would ask him how he sleeps at night, knowing he's stealing from elderly people who trusted him with their retirement savings. And I would ask him why destroying my life was worth protecting a criminal like Brad Morrison." Steve stood up with a smile that Marcus had never seen before. "Marcus, what if I told you that Richard Blackstone is here today, and he's about to answer those exact questions?" Marcus's eyes went wide. "He's here?" "He's here, and Marcus, he didn't come voluntarily. He came because the FBI asked him to. The audience gasped as Steve explained what his investigation had uncovered. Ladies and gentlemen, while Marcus has been unemployed and struggling to survive, the Steve Harvey Show has been working with federal investigators to expose the corruption at Pinnacle Financial Services. Steve turned back to Marcus. Marcus, I want you to meet FBI Special Agent Patricia Rodriguez from the Financial Crimes Division. Agent Rodriguez came onto the stage with a folder full of documents. Marcus, thanks to your original whistleblower report and our ongoing investigation, we have arrested Brad Morrison and Richard Blackstone on federal charges of securities fraud, money laundering, and witness retaliation. Marcus couldn't believe what he was hearing. They were arrested? This morning. We've frozen Pinnacle's assets, and we're working to recover the $12 million they stole from their clients. Steve had one more surprise. Marcus, Richard Blackstone is backstage in federal custody, but he agreed to make a statement to you in our audience before he's transferred to federal prison. Richard Blackstone was brought onto the stage in handcuffs, flanked by federal marshals. The man who had seemed so powerful and intimidating 18 months earlier now looked small and defeated. Mr. Blackstone, Steve said, you destroyed this man's life to cover up your crimes. What do you have to say to Marcus Thompson? Blackstone looked at Marcus with what appeared to be genuine remorse. Marcus, you were right about everything. Brad Morrison was defrauding clients, and I knew about it. I was getting a percentage of the illegal profits, and when you threatened to expose us, I chose to protect my own interests instead of doing the right thing. Why did you try to destroy my reputation? Because I was scared. I thought if I could discredit you and make you seem unreliable, no one would believe your allegations. I thought I could make the problem go away by destroying the messenger. Do you realize what you put my family through? I do, and I'm sorry. You did the right thing, and I punished you for it. You saved our clients from losing even more money, and instead of thanking you, I tried to ruin your life. Steve turned to the audience. Richard Blackstone has been sentenced to 12 years in federal prison and ordered to pay $15.7 million in restitution to the clients he defrauded. But Steve wasn't done with surprises. Marcus, I want you to meet someone else. This is Thomas Mitchell, the CEO of Integrity Financial Group. Mitchell came onto the stage, carrying a job offer. Marcus, we've been following your case, and we want to offer you a position as our Director of Compliance and Ethics. Your willingness to sacrifice your career to protect clients is exactly the kind of integrity we want leading our compliance department. Marcus started crying. After 18 months of unemployment and character assassination, he was being offered a job that was actually a promotion from his previous position. The salary is $140,000 a year, plus a $50,000 signing bonus to help you get back on your feet, Mitchell added. But more importantly, Steve said, the federal government is giving you a whistleblower award of $1.2 million for your role in exposing the Pinnacle fraud. Marcus was sobbing as the audience gave him a standing ovation. 6 months later, Marcus returned to the Steve Harvey Show for a follow-up that inspired millions of viewers. Marcus, how has your life changed since we first met? Steve asked. Mr. Harvey, I have my career back, my reputation restored, and most importantly, I can look at myself in the mirror again, knowing I did the right thing. What would you tell other employees who discover fraud or corruption at their workplace? I would tell them that doing the right thing isn't easy, and it might cost you in the short term. But living with integrity is worth any temporary sacrifice. What happened to the clients who were defrauded? Most of them have recovered their stolen money through the restitution fund. Several elderly clients have thanked me personally for protecting them from losing even more of their retirement savings. Today, Marcus Thompson is Director of Compliance and Ethics at Integrity Financial Group, where he has implemented new protections for client assets and whistleblower safeguards for employees. His story has become a case study in business schools about the importance of ethical leadership. Steve keeps a photo from Marcus's first show on his desk, the moment when 18 months of injustice turned into complete vindication. It reminds him daily that doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it's always worth it. Marcus taught me that integrity isn't about doing the right thing when it's convenient. Steve often says, it's about doing the right thing when it costs you everything, and eventually, that integrity will be rewarded. The Pinnacle financial case led to new federal protections for whistleblowers and resulted in the recovery of over $12 million for defrauded clients. Marcus's courage to speak up ultimately protected hundreds of families from losing their life savings. If this story of workplace justice and the power of integrity moved you, please subscribe and hit that thumbs up button. Share this video with someone who needs to know that doing the right thing is always worth it, even when it seems to cost everything. Have you ever had to choose between doing what's right and protecting your career? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to ring that notification bell for more stories about courage, integrity, and the justice that comes to those who refuse to compromise their values.